The reason, the rhyme. 5 things that mean something to me and the reason why. This time, that voice, part 2. Robert Wyatt, and in particular, the song Shipbuilding. Now this is an odd one because it's a song written by Elvis Costello, recorded by Elvis Costello, but the Robert Wyatt version was released first. So is it a cover version? Or did Elvis Costello do a cover version of his own song? I haven't got a clue. But either way, it's an amazing song, written about the Falklands War and the trouble in towns that were building ships to go into the task force to go to fight for the Falklands. And knowing full well that some of those people that were involved might not come back. So it's a sort of kitchen sink drama about the shipbuilding industry in the UK and war and what it means to young people. Hauntingly beautiful. The song is amazing. The Elvis Costello version is superb, but the Robert Wyatt version, I think, is just, it's incredible because he has got such a fragility to his voice, a really haunting fragility, which is perfect for the tone of the song. He's not blasting it out with this big, brassy, loud, epic voice. It's kind of withdrawn within. Sounds sad. It's a very blue song for me, this, but beautiful, beautiful, beautiful song. He's also done some other great stuff as well, but I think this is the absolute peak. Brilliant songwriting, brilliant arranging, beautifully played as well, and an amazing vocal track over it. Shipbuilding, Robert Wyatt. If you don't know it, you should do. Go and check it out. Up next, it's Ben Ottewell from the Southport band Gomez. When they come along, I think Whipping Piccadilly was the first song that most people heard, and it sounded sort of, I don't want to say landfill indie, but it just sounded sort of generic indie. Good song, but nothing special. And then, as more and more stuff come out, this is not a normal indie band. This is something completely different, and they were, and still are, to be honest with you. I know some of the members mentioned that they were listening to a lot of Tom Waits at the time, and you can tell it comes across, especially in Ben Ottewell's voice, which doesn't sound like a young lad from England. It sounds like a middle-aged man from the deep south of the United States. His voice is beer-soaked. It sounds like a beer-soaked carpet in an old pub. It's amazing. And when combined with some of the sort of the lighter voices within the band, it really cuts through. It sounds absolutely incredible. And the song I would think you should listen to is Get Miles from the album Bring It On. Just, oh man, seriously. Just from the very first little couple of lines that he sings, it's completely different. His voice is superb, and on every song that he sings on the Gomez albums that I've got, his is the voice that always comes in and seems to take over. It's amazing, but it mixes really well with everyone else's. So yeah, Gomez are a brilliant band anyway. You should check them out if you don't know them. But Ben Ottewell, what a voice, man, what a voice. Next, Jon Anderson from Yes, one of my favourite bands of all time. And his voice, he's like an angel, to be honest with you. He's got such a crystal clear voice. Quite high pitched, high ranged, but he can go from fairly low up to soaring high, and it's just absolutely crystal clear. He sounds like a fox's glacier mint, that's what he sounds like. You probably heard Owner of a Lonely Heart, which is from the 1984 album, I think it was 83, 84, 90125, which is the most famous and biggest hit. But if you're a Yes fan, that was an addition. All the other stuff came earlier, the early stuff, absolutely amazing. And I managed to see Jon Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman and Howe back in 1989, the Birmingham NEC. Absolutely incredible. And Tony Levin played bass with them. Even though Chris Squire wasn't there, who is my favourite bass player of all time, Tony Levin's not a bad number 2, is he? We have Jon Anderson, his voice, and especially when mixed with Chris Squire's voice on the early Yes albums are just absolutely stunning. And the one you should be listening to is To Be Over from the album Relayer. Again, prog rock, so you're going to have to go through a little bit of music before the voice kicks in, but sort of the second half of To Be Over is probably the most emotional set of, emotional bit of music I've heard before. As soon as I put it on the first time, I thought, bloody hell, this is absolutely incredible, this. How you can encapsulate so much emotion just in music, and then his voice comes over the top, and it is insane. Check it out. Careful if you're going to flip it over to side one, because Gates of Delirium is very, very proggy, and it lasts quite a while. But again, that's brilliant as well. Check that out. Jon Anderson. I've listened to the first couple of albums as well. One's called Yes and one's called Time and a Word. There's shorter songs on there, and his voice sounds great on there as well on those albums. In fact, there's a song called Every Days, which I think is a Stephen Stills of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young fame. It's one of his songs, and he sounds superb on that as well. So there, I'll give you a couple of things to listen to, haven't I? Go and check out Jon Anderson. Check out Yes. They're amazing. Absolutely amazing. Up next is Thom Yorke from Rdiohead and The Smile. Tom's got a few different voices, and I like all of them. While he is capable of belting out an indie ballad, he is also more than capable of being more, and this is the thing I love most about him, is more of a sort of a rolling, hypnotic, incantation kind of voice. The one I suggest you listen to for that is The Numbers from A Moon-Shaped Pool by Radiohead. It does it all the time. It's just growing, just constantly growing. It's a bit like, I think probably like sea erosion. As the sea keeps eroding the cliffs, just keep chipping away bit by bit until eventually you've been sat there for 9 hours just listening to Radiohead. It happens all the time. But he's got an amazing vocal clarity, a tone, a timbre, if you will, which again I think speaks to me. So it can be very warm. I don't want to say it's like a hug, but it's got that kind of quality about it. Hypnotic is the thing, I think. Incantation, hypnotic and rolling. I always get that. Just roll after roll after roll, maybe like waves. But go and check that out, I think it's absolutely fantastic. Up next is Julianne Regan from All About Eve. Now, how would you even think about describing them? It's strange. Would you call them indie folk? They're an indie band, they're an acoustic band. There's hints of folk, there's hints of country at times. There's hints of blues. There's a song, well, I must say, the song you should listen to is Scarlet from the album Scarlet and Other Stories. I think it's a brilliant song. And again, very sort of posh, clipped English voice, which sounds beautiful. I have a thing about these voices. The posh English really works for some kind of songs, doesn't it? Not all songs. Occasionally you need a Texan drawl or a Tom Waits barroom sort of beer-soaked carpet voice. Other times you just need, I don't know, a parochial voice. I think that's why the Beatles ended up being as popular as they were to begin with, is because they were singing in their own accents rather than trying to sound American. They sounded more authentic because they were singing in an approximation of a Scouse accent rather than going over the top with it. It still sounded northern. Yeah, and this band Oasis were popular because they didn't do the similar kind of thing. It was just northern lads singing with a northern voice, and the antithesis of that was Blair with their chirpy Cockney, or Mockney rather, estuary English sing-along, being more like the Kinks, singing in their own southern way. So you need stuff like that, and I think, but occasionally that nice clipped English voice sounds beautiful. And I know Julianne Regan did some backing vocals for The Mission, which was a nice sort of combo. But on that album, like I say, they also did a song called Blind Lemon Sam, which is, there's Spanish influences and blues influences in there. So they can put their hand to anything, really. Great band. That album's really, really good. That was another album that was strangely popular in Liverpool at the time, late 80s, early 90s. There was quite a few of these albums that everyone seemed to have. Scarlet and Other Stories was definitely one of them, which I think was it late 80s, early 90s, I can't remember. But the Sundays, All About Eve, Kristen Hirsch, Hips and Makers was another one. Everyone seemed to have that. And Propaganda, was it Jewel, the album was called, I don't know, can't remember. Everyone seemed to have that. And of course, Kilimanjaro by the Teardrop Explodes. Everyone had it. Yeah, check out Scarlet and Other Stories, and especially the song Scarlet. You probably know them better than Martha's Harbour, but for me, Scarlet's the better song. Beautiful guitar playing, that voice is stunning. Check it out, man. It's worth doing. Yep. Julianne Regan, what a voice. So there you go. There's my 5 things that mean something to me and the reasons why. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like that 5, why not check out these next? Or even these.